You are listening to 88.3 FM WRCT Pittsburgh. My name is Paul. This is my little radio show called Viva La Mac. And you've been listening or hearing me. I'm hoping you've been listening. But if you've been listening over the past few weeks, you've been hearing me play a lot of stuff off of the new 4019s album. It came out earlier this year. Well, guess what? The 4019s, I've been telling you, are coming to town. And it's right around the corner. And what better way to talk about the shows, where they're happening, what's happening, is why not ask the 4019s themselves? Right now on the phone with me is Nick Z from the 4019s. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Paul. How you doing, buddy? Great to be on your show.
Hey, man. Great. I'm glad you could take the time, and let's pump up these shows you've got. You're kind of doing a mini. I'm calling it a mini Western PA tour because you've got like 3 dates in our backyard, I believe. Am I right with that coming up?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're coming in on the 12th of November. And so the 12th will be at Woolly Bullies in New Brighton. We're doing 2 shows back-to-back on the 13th as well at Woolies. On the 12th, it's a 7 p.m. show. And then on the 13th, it's a 4 p.m. show. We're going to do it early, kind of like we do at the wineries. So, and then, of course, on the 14th, we'll be at the Steelers Tailgate Bash at Stage AE. Exciting.
Yeah, so and the Steelers Tailgate Bash, that's just free to go into, is it not?
Yeah, it's either, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, with Stage AE, it's either going to be outdoors or indoors, weather dependent, obviously. We're hoping that we come in and it's one of those beautiful Pittsburgh autumn days that I remember as a kid. So, but either way, we're ready to rock.
Now let's talk about that. So Nick, you've got some roots back here in the great Steel City area, and then you left. You left the little scene here, and you went out to L.A. and kind of got yourself wrapped up in the scene out there. Isn't that right?
Right. Yeah. I in the early '80s, I was working at a place called the Dark Room downtown by Point Park. A lot of your listeners may remember or worked there at one point. Now it's like ground zero for, at least for me and a lot of the Pittsburgh punk scene, guys from the Five, the Cardboards, Car Sickness. Oh man, everybody worked there, and that was like the place, you know. So I got to get introduced to that scene. My sister worked there, and that's how I knew about it, because she used to take photographs and stuff with all those bands, and then I moved to LA a couple of years later, and got involved with that scene. But I always look back at that Pittsburgh scene because that was where my roots were and what formulated my outlook on everything, you know.
So you've got a new album out, or I should say you had an album released in 2021. So to me, that's new. It's current. It's on Big Stir. And this was actually your first full length for Big Stir. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we've known Big Stir for a couple of years, and they started as this small label doing shows at the local venue here in Burbank, and then they started putting out records, and we were able to put one out with them, and it's been doing quite well.
Well, let's talk about some of the songs that are actually on this record. So I should give some background. So the 4019s are an LA-based band with, obviously, you've got Nick, who's got Pittsburgh roots. You've got members who have like Michigan Midwestern roots with the band, and like you start off the entire album with this great track called "It's for Fun." It's got this, obviously, and I think it's meant to be. It's got this Detroit swagger to it. So what was the genesis behind this song?
Yeah, you know, John Pozar, a singer, he and I go back probably like 30 some odd years in the Leonards, and we played a lot of shows in Pittsburgh back in those days, and his motto, you know, it's for fun. That's all we're living for. We're not a political band. We aspire to get people together to just have a good time, and just to you know, without sounding corny or whatever, just to relish the time you have together with everybody. In every show we've ever done, you ask anyone that's seen the Leonards or the 4019s or whatever, and they always say, "Oh, you guys are having fun up there." So that's the impetus for that song.
Well, and let's and you said basically it's about having good times, and the whole idea behind your name, the 4019s, is isn't it like the legalese for like time off for good behavior?
Yeah, exactly. John and Chuck, our other guitar player, Chuck, they're both attorneys, and while in court, they'd always hear this term 4019 credit, and so 49, the judge would say, time off for good behavior, you got 4019 credits. So they thought, hey, that's a great name for a band because it's all about having fun, good behavior. And every time the judge says 4019 credits, they're saying your name in the courtroom. So that's kind of their way of having a laugh in court.
Now with this, with your upcoming shows here in Pittsburgh, you've told me that Lenny from the Popular Creeps will be joining you on stage. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Every time we go either to Detroit for, John and Lenny, obviously that's their home turf, or Pittsburgh, if Lenny's available, he comes with us. And so he's coming down to join us on guitar. And he's going to bring that extra little bit of Detroit swagger, MC5 jazz that he's known for. And we're excited, and we hope everyone else will be as well.
Well, that's great. Let's actually check out that track from the New Roaring 20s. It's the 4019s. It's for fun. That's what we're living for here on the Vive Lamach radio program.
Settle down, gotta go. Time catches up if you go too slow. Just a little more. Someone live it for. Someone live it for.
Hey, that's the 4019s with It's for Fun from the New Roaring 20s. I actually have Nick Z from the 4019s on the phone. My name is Paul. I'm the Mockster. You are listening to the Vive Lamach radio program. We're talking about the fact that they're coming to town, playing some shows very, very soon here in town. And we talked about you're out at Wooly Bullies on, is it the 12th and the 13th?
Yeah, correct. Back-to-back rock shows.
And then you're playing the tailgate party for the Steeler game down at Stage AE on the 14th. So that's just fantastic. On this album, and I know it was one of your singles you put out with Big Stir originally, you did a song with Tony Valentino of the Standells.
Yeah, we got to be friends with him. One day he came to a show to the Big Stir event, and he saw us, and he liked John singing. He says, man, John reminds me of David Lee Roth. And John didn't see that, but he says, man, if Tony Valentino says I sound like David Lee Roth, man, that's the best compliment ever. And he wanted us to do a song. And so Late Night Radio was one of his. And he also he co-wrote with Dan Markel. And so we chose that one. It did quite well out there, so we were happy.
Late night radio needs somebody like you.
That's the 4019s with Late Night Radio off the New Roaring 20s. I'm on the phone. I'm actually on the phone with Nick Z of the 4019s. I hope you're enjoying this, but they're coming to town. They're going to be out at Wooly Bullies on the 12th and 13th of November, and then they're down at Stage AE playing the tailgate party for the Steelers on the 14th.
Oh, I forgot to mention, too, on Friday afternoon, I know a lot of people will be out and about or whatever, but we're at Intergroup Records, and you said you were there. You checked it out.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna come in around 2, and we're just gonna have a little quick discussion about our time in the LA music scene, and just talking about all the people we met and the bands and how everything, like the 60s Sunset Strip and the Laurel Canyon scenes and stuff. So just figured while we're in town, if anyone wants to hear us telling our stories, we met a lot, like everybody. We met some interesting people, and we'd like to just spread some of that fun to anyone that wants to come down and listen.
Now, for those who are not in the know, Intergroup Records is actually it's relatively new, but it's in Monaca. So you said that's 2:00 on Friday the 12th.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we'll be down there. It's on the main drag on Pennsylvania Avenue. You'll find them on Facebook and I believe,
or as I say, you'll find them on the interwebs.
Interwebs. You always say that.
Use the Google machine, and you'll find them on the interwebs. But that's it's free. Stop in, ask some questions, and I think that'll be a fun time. I didn't even know that was happening, so I'm gonna have to change my Friday afternoon schedule, I think, to head out to that myself. So the So the pandemic has probably put a little bit of a crimp in your live show output in the last 20 months or so, I would only assume. Have you been playing out more and more recently? I mean, I know, you guys are trying to make it into town over the summer, and just due to some other situations, you weren't able to make that happen. So we're really excited you're finally making it back here in the fall. But have you been able to play out much, or is this still kind of getting your toe wet a little bit on live shows again?
Yeah, we were supposed to play with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy in October, but that got canceled due to, it was at a school, so the school didn't want to, you understand there, everybody has their things. So, but that got canceled. That was fine. We understood all that stuff. So we've been practicing and just having fun, getting reacquainted with everybody. So, and we've all been, staying in touch with each other and Zoom calls as well. So, yeah, we're ready to go. We're excited, and Lenny coming in, and our other friend John Dessler, he's the local Monaca guy. He's going to be on keyboards with us, so it's going to be a nice big event with a lot of friends, and in a way, it's like it's always a little reunion for us in ways, because we see people we haven't seen in a long time, and it's all there under the auspice of having a good time,
And if you are just joining me, I just want to let you know I'm speaking with Nick Z of the 4019s. They are going to be in town November 12th, 13th, and 14th, playing the 12th and 13th. They're going to be at Wooly Bullies, and those are like late afternoon shows. Like I think you said a 4 and a 5 or around that time. And on the 14th, they're going to be down at the tailgate party for at Stage AE for the Steelers. And then Nick just informed me on the 12th, 2 o'clock at the Intergroup Records, you're going to do a little Q&A session if anyone wants to come out and just hang and talk about rock and roll and some of those things. So that's all happening. Now, you guys, over the years, whether it's with the 4019s or the Leonards or some of the other bands you've played with, you guys have shared the stage with a lot of really big names. My question to you is there a dream band that you'd be like, I would love to have shared the stage with, either someone past, present?
Yeah. If you were to ask John that question, he would tell you the Romantics. He's just a Detroit born and bred guy. He's like, man, I want to play with the Romantics, and geez, let's see. For me, I always, one day, because just being a Pittsburgh guy, I'd love to do something with Joe Grishecki or the Grenadis, or locally, something like that, because those guys were kind of the showed me what I was capable of doing if I stuck with things and just kept trucking, and don't let nothing stop you. And of course, on a bigger scale, on a national scale, man, who wouldn't want to play open for the Who, man? That would be cool.
See, now, I thought you were going to say the Stones.
Oh, I was Stones too. I'd take the Stones. Yeah, I learned to play drums to Charlie Watts' "Get Your Ya-Ya's Out." That was my record I listened to nonstop, man.
Speaking of sharing the stage, now there's one act that I think a lot of artists would have just given their left arm with to share the stage with, and that's the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. And there's a couple songs on this new album that I feel like you're channeling the spirit of Elvis Presley.
Oh yeah. We wrote a couple tunes, and we with Elvis in mind, because all through the years of us, Elvis has always been a guidepost for us, a marker. And we'd always do stuff in rehearsals, just having fun with Elvis, because, man, he's the king of rock and roll.
Come on, baby. Going to Vegas. Oh, we're in Las Vegas tonight.
When we did those tracks, we just came up with that song on the fly. John knew exactly where to take it, so we were having fun. And one of the tunes, he even does a little marching thing like Elvis learned. He always used to say, "I learned that one in the Army."
Go, little chitty, oh. Yeah, go, little chitty, oh. She'll give you anything she got, and she always gives you more. Come on! anything she's got, and she always gives you more. She'll give you anything she's got, and she always gives you more. She'll give you anything she's got, and she always gives you more, more, more.
Two more tracks from the 4019s and their latest release, New Roaring 20s. That was Go, Little GTO, and before that, We're Going to Las Vegas. A couple songs where I feel that they've channeled the spirit of Elvis Presley for sure. Hey, if I haven't told you this, you can reach out to the 4019s or find them on the social medias or the interwebs or all that. Their website is actually the4019s.com. Their record label, Big Stir Records, can be found at bigstirrecords.com. And me, the Mockster, you can always just email me because you can't find me on the social medias. You can email me at WRCTrequest@gmail.com. Oh, speaking of the social medias, yeah. Those the label, the 4019s, they're on the Instas and the Facebooks and the Twitter, so you can find them there as well. But I actually need to wrap up. But I do have one more song to play off of your latest release, New Roaring 20s, conveniently titled Time Marches On, because indeed it does, not just with life, but with this interview and this radio show as well. So, Nick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to chat with me. And I want to remind all of the listeners out there that the 4019s will be playing two shows in New Brighton at Woolly Bullies. The first show is on November 12th, and the second show is on the 13th. Both of these shows are in the late afternoon, so great timing to go out and just kick off your Friday or your Saturday night. And don't forget, on the 12th, actually, you can actually catch the band at Intergroup Records in Monaca doing a Q&A session about all things rock and roll, and that is totally free. And speaking of free, you can also catch them on Sunday at the Steeler tailgate party at Stage AE before the game. So speaking of Time Marches On, again, Nick, I appreciate your time today and look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, Paul, thanks a lot, and everybody at Viva La Mock. Appreciate you guys sticking with us, and we enjoy listening to you every Friday night, brother.
Hey, this is Nick Z from the 4019s. You're listening to my man, the Mockster, on WRCT, Carnegie Mellon.